Well, hello everybody. Welcome to our Clean Beauty 101 event. My name is Victoria Nguyen and I am the UVA Club of DC Vice President. And I had the honor of working with Tiffany Bassford from Follain to put on this really cool event for you guys today. I will introduce Tiffany and then we will get started. As far as questions go, please either type them in the chat or save them until the end where we'll stop and have Q&A and you can ask Tiffany all of your wonderful questions. So Tiffany graduated from UVA in 2006. She graduated with a degree in Foreign Affairs and French language and literature. After 10 years in project management and consulting, she left for Italy to earn her master's degree in gastronomy from the University of Gastronomic Sciences. Since joining Follain in 2018, she's been in charge of growing Follain's brand in the DMV. So without further ado, I will pass it off to Tiffany and we will get started. Hope you guys have your mask and your headband, and if you're like me, your glass of wine with you.
I love it. I love it. And Victoria, thank you so much for the introduction, and everyone who's joining us so much for making the time this evening. We are going to dive into clean beauty and have such a good time together. Like Victoria said, we are going to be masking during it. So if you did get the mask and headband bundle, I have mine. I'm going to be masking with you guys because I cannot pass up an occasion to mask. So make sure you have that ready, and we're going to be doing that in just a little bit, right? So as Victoria said, I'm Tiffany. I'm the market director for Follain, and I run our DC market. So what I want to talk to you about tonight is really starting to get into like clean beauty 101. What is clean beauty? And when we think about wellness, we immediately think of food and movement, but so many times we don't think about our skin, and our skin is our largest organ. And what you put on your skin can be absorbed within 30 seconds and find its way into your bloodstream. So we're going to some of the regulations or lack of regulations in clean beauty, who Follain is, why we even exist. Obviously, there was a need for clean beauty, and you're going to learn more about that. And then I want to leave you guys with some education as far as like when you turn over your products and you look at labels, what are some of the words that you're looking for? What are some of the ingredients? So that you leave tonight with, yes, glowing skin from the mask, because that's important, but also that you have education and are more informed to look at your products and come at it with a new lens. I think that's really important. So I want to talk to you a little bit about our founder and who we are. So our founder is Tara Foley. She actually is a DC native. So she grew up in DC, and she started blogging about natural ingredients and clean beauty, and she had this blog called Natural Chemist. And as she was digging into all of the different brands that were out there and ingredients, it got quite the following, and she realized like, oh, there might be something to this. There's a need for this. So she was going to go to law school and completely changed her path, ended up getting her MBA. And the whole time she was working on her MBA, she was working on her business plan for Follain, ended up submitting it to a competition, won it, and that was a grant that she opened our first store in 2013 in Boston, as she realized that this was very much a need and we needed to educate people on these ingredients that you find in all of these beauty products. So when we take a look at going before we even opened and really taking a look at, we really believe at Follain that you shouldn't have to compromise your health for beauty. Your beauty products are near and dear to your heart. You love them very much. You're putting them on your skin, which is your largest organ. But non-toxic is our non-negotiable. We want something that's going to be highly, highly effective, but that you know is safe. So when you come into a Follain or you shop online with us, you're not being asked to be a mad scientist and deciphering things yourself. We've been the mad scientist for you, and we want to make it easy and approachable. So this is a little bit of the history of the skincare and cosmetic industry. So the last major federal law regulating the safety of ingredients in personal care products was passed in 1938. And that's crazy when you think of that, because during that time, there have been thousands of new chemical ingredients that have been founded. And so we haven't been regulating to keep up with that. Now, if we look at where we are today, so 2020, you see that the European Union has banned close to 1,400 chemicals in the product formulas of personal care products, and they've restricted the levels of 250 more in such products. Now, the United States to date has partially banned 30. And that's a really big delta between what is being banned in the European Union and what's being banned in the US. So when you look at the clean industry, the term clean is not actually regulated. So whenever you see so many skincare brands claim that this is clean, this is natural, just know that that's a marketing term. No one has actually regulated it. And so since it's not regulated by the FDA, you'll find it in a lot of clean washing. And so this is really the greenwashing of the cosmetic industry and the beauty industry. It's when brands will market their products as clean, as non-toxic, natural. They'll put a little leaf on the package. You'll see that a lot. And what they're doing is really capitalizing on this clean beauty movement that's taking place. So if you don't look closer at the label, then you're going to find some pretty nasty ingredients in there that you definitely don't want on your skin, and it doesn't live up to our standards. So those words, the clean, the non-toxic, green, those are all buzzwords that are not regulated by the government, any third-party regulators. So that means that companies can place their own definition and define a product as clean. And in a little bit, we're going to dig into what clean means for Follain and how we regulate that. But before we do, well, that just disappeared. Can you guys see my presentation, or did it go away?
It went away. We see your backdrop.
Do you see me? Okay. Well, let's find it again. That's so it just like straight up disappeared. But where we're going with this, guys, is that we're going to mask. So if you want to grab your headband and your mask, that is where we're going. All right, we're back. Can you guys see it? Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. So if you have your spa headband, we just released this a few months ago, and it's my new personal favorite. I use it all the time when I am washing my face, whenever I'm masking. And so what we're gonna mask with tonight is the Dual Detox mask. So the reason why I chose this is because it's one of my personal favorite masks. It's one that I find myself reaching for again and again. So especially during the summertime, we tend to have a little bit more oil, a little bit more congestion on the skin. What we normally don't have that we're now facing is what we're calling maskne. And so maskne is the acne that's caused from wearing our masks all the time. And so this is really going to help with any of that congestion, any of that buildup. It has 3 different clays in it, and that's going to help with purifying the skin. And it also has AHAs. So while we mask, I'm going to tell you a little bit about AHAs and BHAs. So your AHAs are your alpha hydroxy acids. Your alpha hydroxy acids work on the surface of the skin. So a good way to think of it is A above the skin, right? So AHAs are actually moisturizing acids. They're going to bind moisture to the surface of the skin, and they're going to help with that sort of surface level glow, that refining, the resurfacing that you're looking for. Now, when it comes to a deeper, like a deeper cleanse, those are going to be your BHAs. So your beta hydroxy acids are going to work below the skin surface. You can remember that because B for below, right? So those are going to be things like salicylic acid, and or you can also find it in willow bark, which is what's in this mask. And willow bark is the natural form of salicylic acid, and it is oil soluble. So because of that, it can go deeper in the skin, and it's going to help dissolve the underneath congestion that you have, whereas your AHAs, your alpha hydroxy acids, are water soluble. So they're going to work on the surface. So we can let this sit for 20, 30, 40 minutes. It's a spreadable clay, which is nice, so it doesn't get really hard on the skin. I'll actually be able to still talk to you guys as it's setting, which is really nice. So you want to use a towel. We're going to rinse this off after the presentation. You're going to be fine with it on your face. And when you wash it off later, you might want to use a towel just to make sure you're getting all of the clay off. And you're going to just feel the surface of your skin, and it's going to be really soft, and it's going to be ready for any moisturizer that you put on after it. The reason is that you cannot moisturize dead skin. So you want to make sure that you're resurfacing and getting rid of that, which we're doing with our mask. And then you can put on your moisturizer, and it'll be well received.
So Tiffany, just like putting it on, I kind of appreciate the fact that it's not like heavily scented, and it like feels, just the moment I put it on, it's pretty like cool. Like I feel like just instant coolness on my face. So yeah, I'm loving it.
Good, I'm glad. I love the feel of it too. It's one that I keep reaching for over and over again. So I'm so glad. So I want to talk to you a little bit about Follain's approach to clean beauty. And I think it's important because our founder always says that whenever women try conventional beauty and it doesn't work, we've been really primed to blame ourselves that it doesn't work. We say, oh, well, we'll try another product, right? It must be my skin. But when people switch to clean, they think that if it doesn't work, they're like, oh, well, clean doesn't work. And we can't have that happen because we really stand by clean beauty and the efficacy of it. So because of that, we have to be incredibly skilled at making sure that we're matching customers to the best products for their skin. So we do this through a few different ways. So we view ourselves as product matchmakers. We understand that everybody's skin is different. And so that's why you won't find any cookie cutter routine. When you come in store, it's very consultative, and you're saying, well, tell me about your skin. Tell me about your concerns. Tell me about your lifestyle, right? If you are on the go and you're working all the time, I don't want to give you a routine that's 10 steps. It's just not going to be doable. So it needs to be something that is really curated to your skin, but also your lifestyle. Now, the second way we do this is also through curation. So our stores are very, very tightly curated. Same with our online, with our e-commerce. We have a 5-step approval process. It's a very rigorous process. It takes months. It can sometimes take even years because we want everything that comes into our stores to be effective and luxurious. So we really stand by that approval process and the transparency of it. And we have it online actually spelled out. What does that process look like? Now, the third is through education. Anybody who works in our stores is called an educator, not a sales associate or anything like that. And even our CEO and founder, she's our chief educator. And it just goes to underline how key education is when it comes to matching people to the right products for their skin. So what we do in store is go through really rigorous education so that we can talk to you not only about products, but really deep dives into ingredients. Like we just talked about AHAs and BHAs and understanding which ones are good for which skin types and what you might be looking for. We have conversations that are more around, okay, well, if hyperpigmentation is your concern, well, let's talk about vitamin C and let's talk about why that's the ingredient that you're looking for. So it's a very different specialized approach into making sure that we are giving people the best experience with clean beauty and giving them things that they absolutely love. So what I want to dive into now is some of what we ban. So this is only a fraction of the toxic ingredients that we don't allow to come through our doors. Our full list is online. As I said, we're really, really transparent, and we really want to educate people so that you understand what you're looking for in your product. We're all about the education component. So what I want to do is arm you with some of these things, and I would invite you when we're done to just start turning over your products, because I guarantee you're going to find these. These are some of the biggest offenders. So the first one is aluminum compounds. This is a metallic element. You will find this in antiperspirant. So what this does is it actually blocks the sweat ducts and it prevents sweat from reaching the skin surface. Of all the things in our store, this is the one that has been most studied. It has been found to bioaccumulate within organs. It's been found in breast tissue. That is really the start of your lymphatic system. And we are meant to detox through that channel. And for as long as you've been wearing antiperspirant, you have been plugging that up, right? So natural deodorant is a really important switch to make, and it's one that we're really big advocates of. And I also, in store, we always talk about the switch to natural deodorants. And if you haven't switched, just know that there is what's called a deodorant detox. So what that means is that when you switch to clean and you stop using an antiperspirant with this aluminum compound, you are essentially allowing your body to detox the way it was supposed to. So if you buy a clean deodorant tomorrow and you say, 2 days later, like, Tiffany, I smell to the high heavens, this is not working, I would say, of course, that is natural. That is part of the deodorant detox. Nothing is going to work at the very beginning. Some people have a week of a deodorant detox. I was one of the lucky few who had 3 weeks of detoxing. But I can assure you that after that, you actually, your body chemistry will catch up. You're allowing it to do what it's supposed to. You'll find that you will smell less. You will find that you will sweat less. But I think it's important just to let people know that there is this period. I think now with a lot of people being at home in quarantine, it is the ideal time to switch because you're around almost nobody. So it's a great time to switch to natural deodorant. And just know that sometimes it is a journey, and we're here for that. Knowing that it might take a few different ones to find one that works with your body chemistry, but that's what we're here for. But if you're using an antiperspirant, you will see the aluminum on that. So the next one is synthetic flavor or fragrance. So this is a really big category. This one word, fragrance, can contain upwards of 3,000 different ingredients. And it can be on a product labeled as fragrance because it is considered a trade secret. So that's how they get away with that. And within that, all of those undisclosed compounds, you can find a lot of ingredients in there that cause skin irritation, respiratory irritation. You can find things that trigger allergies, migraines, asthma, some potential carcinogens, neurotoxins, just so many within those hundreds, thousands of ingredients in a single word, right? So you'll find this everywhere. It's really ubiquitous. So you will find it in your hair products, in your face products, in your lotions. This is really a big offender. And so the easiest way that you'll avoid this is shopping clean beauty brands that don't allow it. Anything that we bring in, we don't allow. And just to clarify too, what we do in store is we have our private label, like the mask that you're using tonight, but we also have other brands, right? So if any of the brands that we curate were to have fragrance in it, we wouldn't allow it in store. So you know that whenever you're shopping with us, that you now have this knowledge, but know that we did that turning over and examining it for you. Now, The next one is phenoxyethanol, and phenoxyethanol is a preservative. It was thought to be a safer preservative. You'll find it in a lot of clean beauty products because for a long time, it was thought to be safer than your parabens and other preservatives like that. So this one can be a little bit tougher to avoid now because you'll find it in more things. But now you know that it's preservative, and you can look to avoid it. So research came out last year showing that it really was a skin irritant. It could be a nervous system suppressant. It could even be connected to longer times to get pregnant. So when enough research came out, we were one of the first retailers that said we're not comfortable having this in, and we pulled everything from our shelves that had phenoxyethanol in it and worked with the brands that we carry to have them reformulate until we would put it on our shelves again. So it's one that you'll start seeing, it'll start being phased out, but it's still pretty prevalent. Now, the next group is these PEG compounds, so the PEG. You'll find them listed in your products. You'll see PEG, usually followed by a hyphen and a number. So these are put into your products as a thickener. They can be a solvent, a softener, a moisture carrier. They also work as penetration enhancers. So you'll find this in a lot of hair products and moisturizers and foundations. And if you think about it as a penetration enhancer, if you remember what I said at the beginning, where anything you put on your skin, it may go into your bloodstream within 30 seconds. And when you have something like a PEG compound, that's actually working as a penetration enhancer to pull it deeper into the skin. It's why you'll find it in moisturizers, right? But I want only good ingredients pulled into my skin. And a lot of times products with these PEG compounds will also have a lot of these other offenders in it, like synthetic fragrance and things like that. So clean beauty will avoid PEG compounds, and that's the way to get around that. Now, the next group is phthalates, and I have some of the ways you'll see that on labels. And you'll see that it's a denaturant, it's a plasticizer, has a few different usages, but it is an endocrine disruptor predominantly. And sometimes it's not even labeled in ingredients, which is pretty frustrating. So you'll find this a lot in synthetic fragrance. You'll find this in hairspray as well. But if you turn it over, sometimes you'll see some of these variations of the phthalates in your product. Now, the last group with your SLSs, your sodium lauryl sulfate and sodium laureth sulfate, this is a really big group. You will definitely see this on anything that foams or bubbles, your bubble bath, anything that gets like really, really bubbly, that's going to be your SLS. This is a surfactant, so it's the cleansing agent that produces any of those suds, the bubbles, the foam. And we tend to love our bubbles and foam. To us, they're synonymous with clean, right? Everybody loves their bubbles, but you can get bubbles from other ingredients. So you don't have to lose your bubbles, but you can lose the SLS. This one, there is concern with it being a contaminated ingredient with a known carcinogen. It can cause skin irritation. So whenever labs will test the efficacy of an ingredient to calm irritated skin, the ingredient that they will irritate the skin with first is SLS. That's how known of a skin irritant that it is, that they will use it to irritate the skin to then test the efficacy of something to calm the skin. So the really cool thing about this is that as consumers became knowledgeable about it, we demanded change. So you'll see a lot of ingredients now are labeled SLS free. You'll see it on toothpaste because toothpaste is another thing that bubbles, right? So you'll find SLS in it. But because consumers demanded a change, different brands now will advertise on their products SLS free. because we've demanded a change and they know that's what we're looking for. So I think that's the power in education, is that the more we learn about this and the more we demand these changes with our dollars, brands will follow. So if this really piques your interest and you're like, wow, this is really cool, I want to learn about all the other ones and start turning things over, then we have the full list on our website, and we have where you find it, we have its function, we have what the concerns are about it, how to avoid it. So we really break it down in every category. Now, people ask us all the time, where should I begin? And we tend to be vain creatures sometimes, and so we want to start here up, right? We want to focus on our face, but we're actually big advocates in focusing on the 95% of your skin that's here down, right? So the 3 areas that we really advocate for people who are new to clean to switch is deodorant, for the reasons that I stated with the aluminum and just how much it's been studied, and the fact that it is next to the breast tissue. It is something that's fairly easy to switch to clean, and it does make a really big impact in your health. The other one is soap. So if you think about all the soap, especially now, as much as we're washing our hands all the time, and even when you shower, right, that's the 95% of your skin. So soap is really important. And one thing that we have in store that you can actually see in this picture is our refillable soap program. So sustainability is really important to us at Follain. And so this is something that we launched our business with, was this refillable soap. And it's a beautiful Castile-based soap with essential oils. And it comes in different essential oil scents. And they come in refillable glass jars. So people will get their glass jars and then they'll come in to refill it, or we have 38-ounce refills online that you can get and refill your own jars. But the beauty of these is that it is in a glass jar, it is refillable, and we call it our everything soap because you can use it for hands, body, kids, dogs, dishes. It's really, really versatile. I definitely wash my cats in this, I'm not gonna lie, and they smell really great. But it's a really easy switch to clean and have a really big impact. Now, the third category is lotions. Lotions, because you put it on such a large portion of your body. And I know the gym that I used to go to had the lotion just in the wall, and I would just see women just pump it, and just smother their entire body with it. And I looked at the ingredients, I turned it around, and it just made me sad every single time that people have no idea what they're putting on their skin. So those are 3 really easy ways to switch to clean and have a really big impact on a large portion of your skin. Now, the other thing we're really big on is any change you do should be sustainable, and it shouldn't be overwhelming. So anytime you're running low on a product, whether it's a moisturizer, a cleanser, whatever it is, it's a great time, instead of restocking on that, to just switch it to clean. So that way you're addressing all of the products that you have without it being overwhelming. I know when I first went down the rabbit hole of looking at ingredients, it felt very overwhelming to me, because I started looking at everything I had and I realized that everything in my bathroom had these. And it's taken a few years to switch everything over, but that way it's a little bit more bite-sized and it's more doable and way less overwhelming when you approach it that way, right? Now, I wanted to highlight some of my favorites. As a brand, we've really expanded our private label into some pretty exciting products. So we had our body care line. We had that about 2 to 3 years ago with a really beautiful sugar and shea scrub. We have a dry body oil. But starting last year, we started to venture into skincare, because as much as we talk about the 95% from your neck down, we love our skincare products, right? It's something that makes you want to take a deep breath, and it's luxurious. And I'm a big believer that whenever you wash your face, it should be something that makes you want to take a deep breath. Like, we don't have enough of those moments. So my routine has now become something that is a reminder of that in very small ways that are additive throughout my days. And we have a normal to dry skincare line with a cleanser, we have a toner and a moisturizer. And the beautiful thing about the moisturizer is that it's a lightweight moisturizer that has really lasting and deep hydration. And when you think about clean formulations, there's a lot of ingredients we're not using. So when you look at moisturizers that have a lightweight feel, that's coming from ingredients that we would never ever use. So to achieve that in a clean formula is actually really exciting and really difficult to do. A lot of the original clean beauty moisturizers were, they're thick and they're heavy, and they just don't have that luxurious feel. And it's something that we really stand by, that your clean beauty should not be something you're using because it's clean. You should be using it because it's beautiful and luxurious. Oh, and by the way, it's also clean, right? You can have it all in clean beauty, and for far too long, we've told that that's not possible. Now, the line that we just released the other month, actually, this is really new, with our oil to combo line with a cleanser, a spot gel, and a mattifying moisturizer. The balancing cleanser is my personal favorite because it's this deep black color from activated charcoal, and I just find that really satisfying when I'm washing my face, especially using these to target any mask irritation that we're having, the congestion, anything like that, to make sure we're really cleansing all of that at the end of the day. So I spoke to you about our clean consult process in store and just how consultative we are. So once you really start saying, well, okay, this is great, Tiffany, but there's so many products and what do I do? This is where you start. So the stores, my store is open. We're being incredibly cautious as far as safety precautions and all of that, but we're still there to consult at a distance, right? So that way we're able to make you safe samples in store, and you can still take it home and you can try it. We're big on the experience of clean beauty and making sure that you're trying it, you're loving it. There's a feedback loop going on. We're checking in on you. How's it going? How is that consistency? How is that fitting in with your routine? There is also online through virtual consultations that you can book with us, and we're jumping on Zooms just like this, except it's one-to-one with a Follain educator, and we are talking you through your skin and your problem areas and really hand selecting a routine just for you. We have our online store and also chat functions on our website as well, and anybody you're talking to is trained on ingredients and skin types to make sure that we're matching you to those products, right? That matchmaking is something that's near and dear to our heart and something we really care about. So we talked some about the clean consultation. So what you can expect when you talk to us for a virtual consultation is we're really going to take a deep dive into asking you, what are you using? Is it working for you? How many products do you use? Do you like masking? If not, then okay, we can skip it, that's fine. Do you have products that you love? Because if you do, we're not going to shame you into switching from them. We want to work with you and say, okay, well, let's build around that, right? And I think the important thing is when it comes to clean, we get people who come into our store who are really knowledgeable about ingredients, all the way to people who come in and say, like, the bathtub in the window is really cool. Where am I and what is clean beauty, right? So one thing we always want to do is meet people where they are, and you should never ever be afraid to come and talk about clean beauty. If you know all of it, if you know a little of it, that's great. And that's what we're there for, is to meet you where you are and say, like, okay, let's have a conversation around clean beauty, because we love talking about it. And our favorite thing is to match people. Now, if this has piqued your interest at all, as far as digging into ingredients and really taking a deeper dive into the products that you put on your skin, I wanted to give you guys some resources to do these deeper dives. So there is the Environmental Working Group Skin Deep database, and there's also a Think Dirty app. So I'll have these apps on my phone, and you can scan barcodes and it'll categorize what you're looking at, or you can type it in and it'll categorize it and it'll tell you what toxic ingredients are in there, why it's giving it the rating that it is. It'll color code it. It tells you what's harmful about it, what studies have said about it. So it's a great way to arm yourself with more information right on your phone. I use this all the time and it's a great resource. The other way is obviously your local store in Bethesda, or Follain online is a great resource as well to talk to somebody who is really knowledgeable. And honestly, you can also just call any of the stores. People call us all the time and they say, well, I have this condition, can I talk to you? What's going on? And we love those calls. We'll stay on the phone for as long as it takes and talk you through and do phone consultations. So don't be afraid just to pick up the phone and call us as well. We get a lot of that and we love that. Victoria, I'd love to open it up to any questions that we might have.
Sure, absolutely. We had three questions that were submitted in advance. You want to tackle those three first?
Yeah, yep, happy to. So the first one I got was, okay, how long should you wait between applications of toner, vitamin C, moisturizer, and eye cream? Guys, this is such a good question. We get this all the time. How do I layer, right? So you always want to go lightest to heaviest. So we're going to take cleansing out of the equation because we're always going to seem like you have a clean face, right? You cleansed. From there, your serums are typically going to have a lighter consistency. So you would want to layer your serum. And I always tell people whenever it comes to layering, like brush your teeth, go turn on your coffee. That's all you need is just a few minutes. You don't need a lot of time at all. And you want to layer to the heaviest. Now, you want to, if you're using a facial oil, you always want to put a facial oil on wet skin. So what this means is that if you're going to simply cleanse, tone, moisturize with an oil, you want to make sure that you're toning your face and it's wet and you're putting your oil and pressing that into wet skin. The reason is that it's going to pull the oil deeper into the skin, into deeper layers. So a lot of people don't know that, and it's really going to change your experience with any facial oil when you do it on wet skin. You're going to feel that it's more readily absorbed. The other thing I'll tell you is as we move into colder weather and you're layering maybe some more like thicker moisturizers in the winter time, do any water-based moisturizer, which would be like a cream, before an oil moisturizer. So you would put your cream, let it sink in, and you would finish with your oil. The reason is that you're going to prevent water loss and that evaporation from the skin. So you're using your oil a little bit as an occlusive layer over your moisturizer. So that simple practice is just give it a few minutes as you're layering. Oil on wet skin and oil last if you're using multiple moisturizers. The only exception to that would be an SPF. If you're using an SPF, that should go on last, your last step. The other question I got, which hopefully I answered by now, but we can revisit, is what are some resources we can use to look for clean/cruelty-free brands? So the resources, the EWG Skin Deep database, the Think Dirty app are great for anything that you're using. As far as clean and cruelty-free, let's talk about cruelty-free for a second, because people will always come in and they ask us, is it Leaping Bunny certified? Is it cruelty-free? And the reason that you test ingredients on animals is when you don't know how it's going to react on humans. If you think about that delta between 1938 and 2020, where we are today, and all of those thousands of chemicals, those ingredients that have been created during that time, you're going to need to test that. They test that on animals. Because we're not allowing that, there's actually not even a need. A lot of the products are Leaping Bunny certified, but it even negates the need to test it on animals because we know these are safe. This is lavender, right? It is ingredients that we know. There's actually no need to test it. We wouldn't have it tested on animals anyways because it's not our ethos as a clean beauty brand. It's not what we believe in. But what I'm trying to emphasize is that when you're using these natural ingredients, they are known ingredients and they don't even require that step of testing because we know what they are, right? Now, the next question I got is, would I please share a little bit about my career change path and what inspired me to make the leap into clean beauty? So that could probably be its whole other presentation as far as how the twists and turns your career takes. But the short of it is, I knew even at UVA that my love for health and wellness was really strong. So I found myself in the consulting world here in DC, as I think a lot of us do in this area, right? It's what you do. And that's when I realized my love for wellness and food was too strong. So a decade into my career, that's when I moved to Italy. And I really made it my mission to dive into wellness and what that looks like. So when I came back, I knew that I wanted to work for a mission-driven brand and to make that switch. And so that's how I found my way into Follain, by looking for a company that really tied into the things that I believed in. I was turning over my products, I was looking at them, and I wanted to do something that was really mission focused. And that's how I came across Follain 2 years ago.
That's awesome. And fourth question is, how thick should a mask be in order to be effective? And I'm glad, Amelia, you asked this because I slathered, if you can see it, I slathered my face with a mask. Right now, it's like I can feel it's hard to talk versus you, like you had a thin layer. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, did I put too much? So if you could clear that up for us, Tiffany, that'd be great.
That's such a good question. So it depends. A lot of the masks will tell you actually, like, apply a thin layer if it's supposed to be a thin layer. You're going to be fine either way. So there's not really like any harm. I'm a big fan of making my mask spread for a long time. So I tend to be a little, like, as light as I can to still get it working and touching all the skin. But you need it on the skin. You don't need a really thick layer.
Okay. Awesome. Tara wants to know, she's been using products with the harmful ingredients that you indicated for years. How can she repair her skin moving forward?
Yeah, so great question. When you're switching to clean, that's going to work with your natural skin barrier. It's going to really heal it. So that's going to be a really important step, is switching to clean and making sure that you're getting these nourishing ingredients. You're essentially feeding your skin the same way you're feeding your body. And the reason why I believe in these so deeply is because I'll share a quick personal story. And it was about 10 years ago that I've always had pretty oily skin, struggled with breakouts my entire life. And I went to an esthetician that happened to be using clean products. And I was using all the dermatological interventions and it just wasn't working. And she looked at my skin under, the magnifier, and she said, well, your top layer is chemically burnt. I said, well, why am I using this? If it's chemically burnt and it's not helping my breakouts, then why am I doing it? And she put me on a clean regimen, and it was immediately like my skin could breathe and there was more luminosity, and you could see it repairing, because so many of the really harsh interventions that we use really mess up the natural barrier of the skin. And your acid mantle on your skin is there to protect it. So it's a matter of finding the right ingredients for your skin through a consultation so that we're making sure we're giving you, if you're really sensitive, that we're picking the right products for that, and we're checking in on you. But when you're switching to clean and all of these are meant with the purpose of restoring that natural balance, that's going to help undo that damage.
So a question I have kind of piggybacking that is, have you experienced anyone coming to you and noticing like side effects or kind of like a rocky experience, like the moment you stop using those products that you've been using for a while, like switching, like does your skin just like freak out for a little bit and then readjust, or is it kind of like a gradual change?
Yeah, not necessarily. So as you're switching, it's always good to sort of ease into it. Sometimes people want to switch like all 10 products at the same time. But the problem with that is that if you then have a reaction, I don't know which one you had a reaction to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really good to switch slowly, and especially for people who tend to have more sensitive skin types, there are certain things I'd recommend for you and other things that I wouldn't, right? So ease into it slowly, like, and it doesn't need to be like weeks between every product. Like, wash your face with a new cleanser for like 2 days and make sure that you're fine with it, and just slowly start incorporating things into your routine.
Awesome. Any ladies out there, you can unmute yourselves if you would like to ask questions. Now's a good time to do so. You don't have to use the chat. So feel free to. I'll stop there. See if anyone has any questions. We're doing pretty good.
Hi, Tiffany. I am actually calling in from New York, so I'm super happy to crash this DC event. I looked on Google Maps and have confirmed there's a full lane within walking distance, so very excited for that. And I was wondering if you have kind of one of your unexpected favorite clean beauty products, like a natural ingredient, whether that's lavender like you talked about or something like that that maybe we wouldn't be familiar with but that you really love.
Oh, that's such a good question. Okay, so cool ingredient is, so Spanish lavender actually is an ingredient in one of the eye creams that we carry. It's also in a serum that we carry that's really good for like anti-aging. So the cool thing about Spanish lavender is it acts on the eye area to actually release the muscles that hold the fine lines and wrinkles. And so in that way, it works with it in a really, really cool way. And it's sort of like the clean, natural, like Botox, if you will, to help release those muscles. So that's a really cool ingredient that I love. But gosh, yeah, there's so many. There's so many. But thank you. That's a great question.
Any other questions out there? Anyone who is on the line, feel free. Okay, question from Laura. How disruptive are sunscreens and bug spray for skincare? Hard to avoid in the summer, but any tips for healthier products are welcome. That's such a great question, Laura.
Such a good question. Okay, so sunscreen is such a big topic. All of the sunscreens that we carry are zinc, which is a physical sunscreen versus the chemical filters. So just a quick dive into how that works. So when you have the chemicals, which we don't allow because they're toxic, what it does is it allows the sun rays to go into the skin. It transforms it into heat, and then it is released from the skin. Zinc, on the other hand, acts as a physical barrier, and so it can't actually penetrate it, and it bounces up. So sunscreen's a really easy one that you can get in zinc. Clean beauty formulations have come a long way. The early ones were like chalk, like it was just white chalk, and you're just like trying to like not look like Casper. But now the formulations are really, really sophisticated and beautiful. And the face ones they just feel like a luxurious moisturizing face cream with the added benefit of an SPF in it. So that one's really easy. There are a lot of natural sunscreens out there that will, or not sunscreens, bug sprays, that will use essential oils to help with the bugs. It's definitely a big category. I don't know if it's blood type or what it is, but I have the blood type where mosquitoes love me so much, and I hate it. Yeah, like people can be sitting around me and not get eaten, and like I will get all of it for them, and I'll be the one that's like covered head to toe. But you'll find ones with a lot of natural, different essential oils in there. And so definitely like lavender is one of them, but that way they don't smell atrocious like some of the chemical ones, and they are pretty effective as well.
Great. So Val, we can see you wiped your face. Can you tell us how it feels? Like, any thoughts you want to share? Is it good? You also are, oh, you're mute.
Yes, yeah, now I'm off. Yeah, it actually feels really, well, clean, and kind of bright. So that's good. That's wonderful, yeah.
All right, well, if there are no other questions, Tiffany, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. I definitely learned a lot, and I think we recorded this so we can send it out. So if you guys are interested in having the list of ingredients to look for, as well as there's resources, you can have them handy. I am a believer. I think I've been converted to natural deodorant. I will have to give that a try immediately. Because you've definitely convinced me. Once you mentioned aluminum, I was like, there's metal in our deodorant, what? So thank you so much for that. Everybody, thank you so much for hopping on. Feel free to reach out to us and Tiffany if you have any additional questions. But we hope once you wipe everything off, your faces feel really nice and clean and you're ready to just tackle the rest of your evening. And hopefully see you on some future DC Who's events. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.